Hi everybody, I have your channeled message for today, so let's see what wants to come through. The message today is around activating higher self frequencies. This can be done by utilizing the methods at hand. The methods that we are speaking to involve integrating yourself into the version of your reality that you wish to be experiencing so that you are able to manifest from this higher self perspective. After acknowledging that you are just the higher self experiencing itself in a human vessel, that you are just one variation that the human or that the higher self has chosen to take on, then you are able to step into your highest expansive form, your highest, most expansive timelines and variations of said timelines. When you utilize this knowledge to your highest ability, you are able to experience things from a very, very, very different perspective than you have experienced things up until this point in your incarnations. Much of your incarnations have been fueled by doubt. They've been fueled by worry. They've been fueled by the perception of separateness. And the perception of separateness can only precipitate itself if there is not this underlying understanding that you have chosen to take on this experience, this incarnation, to experience this individualization of source consciousness rather than experiencing being part of the whole of source consciousness. There are many benefits to experiencing oneself as an individualized self. However, the higher dimensions of consciousness and other beings on different planets have the innate understanding that they are still part of that whole, that although they are experiencing things as an individual, they are still part of that unified field of source consciousness. In the human experience, when you forget this, you go through the birth process, the forgetting process. And as you do that, you set yourself up to move through these very dense experiences that allow for you to experience contrast to an extent that is unlike any other place within your galaxy. And as that continues through the course of what you experience as lifetimes, you learn and you come back to that innate knowing and understanding. That is the goal of the human incarnation, to come back to that innate sense of wholeness. That is why there have been signposts in various cultures, in various sects, religions, that are pointing you back to that sense of unified consciousness, because that is who you are, that is who you have always been, and that is who you will always be. And so waking up to the knowing that this is not just one incarnation. There is not just lessons to undertake. It is the knowing that when you have completed the undertaking of these things, you are accessing more of what you are. You are accessing that fragment of source, that pure source consciousness in an individualized form, which is the higher self or the soul. And so when you step into that knowing, you are able to control and manipulate this version of reality that you've chosen to experience, because you are the one creating this experience for yourself. You are the one that has created all of the hurdles, all of the obstacles, all of the variations, all of the different forms that you have chosen to interact with have been chosen by the higher self on that soul level. So integrating the higher self into the now requires you to experience yourself as more than just this incarnation, more than just this version of self, because really this is just a spectrum of a frequency on the spectrum of that higher self's experience. It is real and it is meaningful, and it is also not all that is. There is more to experience. Okay, so how can people integrate their higher selves? They can integrate them by allowing themselves to feel into the field of consciousness that surrounds them, and to know themselves as that field of consciousness, that space in between thoughts, that space in between words, that space that surrounds your auric field is still you. It is all you. You are it, we are you are us. There is no separation. There is only unity. There is no fear. There is only love. There is no pain, there is only experience. And when you move into this understanding, you are able to control the way that the reactions and internal sensations affect the way that you are choosing to relate to the external environment that surrounds you. You are able to take on these experiences, allow feelings to move through you, allow energies and emotions to move through you with ease without hanging on to them or attaching onto them, and still allowing yourself to be that infinite creator that you are in an individualized self with individualized skills, abilities, and interests and desires and destiny to move forward and into. We wish you to experience your highest vibrational destiny possible, that highest vibrational timeline, so that you are able to be a part of that whole. Each destiny is an interlinking piece within the divine web of infinite creation, and your desires, your experiences, and your unique energy is needed for that divine web to flow and move properly. It is interconnected. We are all interconnected, and we are moving into a field of unified oneness, a unified timeline moving into the ascension point. As when we move into that point, there is a deep understanding of that interconnectedness that cannot be undone, that cannot be unseen, and the aligned choice is all that there is to make. At that point, you see yourself as part of that unified whole in a way that does not allow you to make decisions that are not for the highest good of yourself as an individual, as well as for the collective in general, because you see yourself in them. You realize you are them, and there is no mistaking that. And so the timeline that you will be moving onto is one of a collective consciousness, even though it is experienced as an individualized timeline from each of your individualized perspectives. It is this change in consciousness that really precipitates this shift in timeline onto the collective timeline. Begin to see yourselves as part of this whole, as part of the unified collective, because you are more than what you have known yourself to be. And each time you allow yourself to step into this greater understanding of who you are, you move closer and closer into stepping into the embodied knowing of yourself within this unified field. Well, that was the message for today. I love it. I love the beauty in it. It's very, I feel like each time, like, you know, kind of reflecting on what they were talking about prior to the spring equinox and the upgrades, and, you know, there were individuals within the collective that began to really be able to see the creator within, and the creator within the individualized self, and the knowing that we are the higher self, and we're just choosing to experience this incarnation for a variety of reasons at this particular frequency, this particular timing, but really it's a particular frequency that we've spread our light into. And so, you know, that's step one. And then they kind of breadcrumb us, right? So if they're talking about this now, that means that this is the next energetic upgrade that we're moving into, where it's like we can really see and know ourselves to be part of that unified field of consciousness. So it's like letting go of the fear, letting go of the judgment, letting go of the criticism, continuing to do that self-accountability, that self-reflection, because when we create distance and separation between each other due to, you know, really projection, that's what continues to keep us divided and separate. And so making sure that we're doing the internal work so that what is being reflected externally is what we wish to be reflected externally, and we're continuing to work down this path together, down this ascension path. I love you all, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.